Hi dear students and welcome to Sri Jendra Rank Zone classes. I am your host Amit Ajmani, taking up the next topic of communication chapter that we have continued in the previous class. Till now in communication we have studied about mainly the types of communication. We have studied about the various networks of communication. In today's lecture, I'll be discussing with you the various barriers in communication. What are the various obstacles which hinder an effective communication? Now, when we talk about barriers, there are multiple barriers, so many things which come as an obstacle in the communication process. All these barriers altogether result in the distortion of the facts and the messages and the misunderstanding of the intended communicee. These barriers are categorized as physical barriers, they may be psychological barriers or emotional barriers, cultural barriers or linguistic barriers, and so many other barriers. We will be discussing a few main barriers under this particular topic. First of all, let's talk about the physical barriers. Now, these physical barriers are due to our surroundings. For example, any kind of noise, any kind of technical disturbances. If we are using some outdated equipment, or if we are at some far off distant locations, at times the office doors that create some noise while opening and closing, probably having separate areas for people of different areas, the large office spaces, the echo produced over there due to some old technology or lack of appropriate infrastructure, these all contribute to the problems in transmission of message. Because if due to any of these reasons the voice clarity is not there, then in that case it is very difficult for the decoder, for the receiver of the message, to analyze the information correctly because of the lack of complete information provided to him. So these are the physical barriers which hinder in effective communication. Next type of category of barriers we'll be studying about is organizational structure barriers. The problem of communication occurs when the systems or the structures and the processes in any particular organization are not clear. They have differences, they have gaps in them. Now, if the chain of command is unclear, obviously a person will never be able to know who he is going to contact if any particular issue arises. Every subordinate should know where exactly and whom exactly to approach for the details or for the solution of the problem. But if there is some organizational structure barrier, in that case, effective communication is not possible. Due to inappropriate information transmission systems, or due to lack of supervision, due to unclarity in the role of a particular person, due to the responsibility demarcations, lot of confusion is created which ultimately leads to inefficiency, right? So if we need to work out for a good communication with efficiency involved and with output, desired output, we need to remove such barriers. The third type of barriers are very common, that is the language barriers. We know that the language can create many obstacles in communication. If we go to some European country, over there, if we don't know French or German, then in that case, how we are going to communicate with them? So language, it creates lot many obstacles, and literally people who are from different regions and countries, they may interpret the same words differently because of the vocabulary used in their particular language. There are certain difficult words, there are certain subject specific terms, some unfamiliar expressions, and some ambiguous words which have got multiple meanings depending upon the use. All these together create hurdles in communicating, right? The best example is you and me right now. We are actually able to communicate because right now we are choosing a common language, that is English. But many of you don't know Hindi, and obviously I don't know Tamil, right? So in that case, if I'll be speaking anything in Hindi or Punjabi or any other particular regional language, if you are not aware, you will not be able to make out the head or tail of what I am saying. Similarly, whatever you are talking, if I am not able to interpret that, how can I get the message that you want to convey to me? So the language plays a very vital role, right? And it is a fact that the linguistic ability of various people in the workplace is different. Some people are more proficient in the language, they have a good vocabulary, they have a good command over their language, while some others may possess just basic skills. And because of that proficiency, because of that deeper knowledge and command over the language, there are times when the proficient person is using some sentences, using some words which a normal person with basic skills is not able to comprehend, right? So when we are trying to communicate with someone, the important thing is we need to use clear and simple and easily understood language, so that in our official communications we are able to exactly deliver, convey, transmit the message that we want to provide. So this is the third type of barrier we have talked about. Coming to the fourth barrier is the cultural barriers. We need to understand the cultural aspects of communication. Now, what exactly are cultural aspects of communication? It means having knowledge of different cultures. And why is that important? Because if you have the knowledge of different cultures, we'll be able to communicate effectively with cross culture people. We know that today is the era of globalization. The world is a global village nowadays. Everyone is approachable, and every person in all different regions of the world, they actually go through various cultures. All of them, they have various cultures, and if we want to communicate with them, then it is an absolute necessity that we need to understand their culture, because there is so much cultural differences between people from various countries or various regions or tribes, right? So based on religion, tribe, regions, countries, there are different cultures where words and symbols may be interpreted differently. That can result in communication barriers and miscommunications. Just taking a very straightforward direct example, we know that in most of the cultures in India, in most of the Hindus, we have this culture that if somebody is dead and we want to actually go there and we want to show that we are also mournful, sorrowful, we wear white clothes, right? But when it comes to Christianity, white is worn when it is a marriage or function, right? They wear black. Okay, there was a movie actually of Amir Khan. I don't hope that you must have seen. The movie name was PK. In that, exactly the same thing was shown, that the Christians, they wear white when they are happy and black when they are sad on the death of somebody. But in Hindus, it is white is worn when they are sad, colorful dresses when they are happy. So this is a cultural difference. If we were trying to show that we are mournful and upset, and we are going to somebody in order to show that feeling, but if we are wearing a wrong clothes based on the cultural barriers, based on their culture, we are at the wrong place with the wrong attire. Now this leads to problems, because either they will get angry because of your this activity that you have done, or you will become the laughing stock. So we need to understand what exactly is the culture with whom we are trying to communicate, because probably whatever is acceptable in our culture, whatever is said or expressed in our culture, may be misinterpreted in somebody's else culture, right? All the multinational companies, they offer special courses and documents to their employees, to their staff, so that their staff can be familiarized with the culture of the country where they are based for work. Otherwise it will be difficult, right? And in addition, obviously every organization has certain rules, principles set, having their own work culture according to which they want their employees to work, right? In every organization, there are different departments within the same company, and these departments have different norms and ideologies and expectations, right? Now, why this is important? Because these things very deeply impact the intra and inter organizational communication. Fine. And not only on the formal level, on the organization level, but when it comes to our families and family groups, we also apply the same type of principles, because different people have different expectations, different interpretations, different mindsets, depending upon their background, depending upon their traditions. So if these cautions are not taken, then in that case it will lead to friction among them, it will lead to misunderstandings. Fine. So cultural barriers also need to be focused upon. Now the next type of barriers which come in between communication is emotional barrier, right? Now what is emotional barrier? It is one of the chief barriers to open and free communications. We have so many emotional outbursts, like anger, like fear of criticism, like ridicule, mistrust of a person, suspicion of intentions, jealousy, anxiety, so many feelings and sentiments. All these feelings we carry within us, and it hampers our communication ability and quality. There are so many times when the same thing done by two different persons are taken differently by us, because of the mindset and because of our own attitude towards these two people, and this leads to misunderstanding, this leads to friction, right? If we are angry, if we are frustrated, if we are upset over something, we are not comfortable, we are disturbed, in that case we are not in a state of mind to pass or to receive any information appropriately and objectively, because we are at the moment under the influence of our that emotion, and our those emotions will color our perception and assessment of the communication. A person negative thinking cannot take anything positive out of any situation, and if a person is in a good mood, he will just try to avoid any negativity, and he will just take out the crux and the positivity out of the discussion. So it all depends on our emotions while we are communicating, and at times these emotions lead to misunderstandings, and hence lot of friction occurs. Next type of barriers that we'll be discussing are the attitude barriers. The personal attitude, whether it is of a person or an employee, it will definitely affect the communication, whether it is within the organization or within the family or within any group. If a person is proactive, if a person is a motivated person, he will facilitate the communication process. But if a person is dissatisfied, disgruntled, he is shy or introvert or a lazy employee, he will tend to delay. He will tend to hesitate in taking the initiative. He will tend to refuse to communicate. So it all depends on the attitude of a person. And that is why good management always addresses the attitude problems of the employees by having regular interactions with the staff members, so that a healthy attitude is developed for a better communication. Next type of barriers are perception barriers. All of us have different perceptions based on our life experiences, based on whatever we have been seeing around us, based on our circumstances, based on our surroundings. We all have different perceptions regarding the world, and at times this causes problems in communicating. Glass is half full or half empty. If a half glass is kept there, it is conveying two different meanings to different people. They are seeing the same content, but they are interpreting these two differently. And at times, this is the root cause of miscommunications and misunderstandings between the two. Clear? Now, the next type of barriers we are discussing are the psychological and the physiological barriers. There are certain physiological barriers also, like ill health, like poor eyesight. They are all genuine, like hearing difficulties, any other physiological problems, or any other physical abnormalities that can also act as a hurdle in effective interaction with others. If a person is having a poor eyesight, he will not be able to actually read and analyze the messages given to him. If a person is having some genuine hearing problems, then in that case he didn't hear what you say, and that is why he will not be able to interpret and analyze. He will not be able to respond as per what exactly was expected from him. So these are the physiological barriers acting in communication. Next type of barriers are technology barriers. We know that all the communication done today is dependent on technology nowadays. They are primarily technology driven, and this communication technology it is constantly upgraded. New formats are emerging so frequently. We started up with mobiles 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, now it is 5G speeds, right? Technology is getting upgraded, and a person who is not tech friendly, he struggles to communicate effectively via the particular medium. At the moment, we are able to take these online classes. Why? Because we have learned how to take. Otherwise, if we talk about the same thing happening 5 years back, we wouldn't have been able to tackle it. At the moment, we are yet able to do all these things because of the awareness, because of the knowledge of the technicalities. Fine. Moreover, if an individual is having a huge amount of information every day, so many sources of information nowadays for us in the forms of emails or the text messages and social updates, then also we face problems because not everyone is a multitasker. Multitasking is to be done these days, but how efficiently a person is doing it, that depends on his ability. Such an information overload and the hard effort put in to accomplish trying too many things together, that at times result in gaps in communications and leads to miscommunications. So technology helps us in many ways also, but at times it acts as a barrier in communication. At times we know that we are talking to someone, but there are some network issues. We are not able to get what the other person is saying because of the technological barrier, right? Next type of barriers are the gender barriers. This is a very common thing, that men and women communicate differently. And this is quite evident. There is nothing wrong in saying this, that when men and women are altogether different when it comes to communication. Very nice line written is, the reason for this lies in the wiring of a man's and woman's brain. Now there is no wiring done as such, we know that. It is just a way to create humor in trying to tell that we actually have a different thought process. A man's brain works differently, woman's brain works differently. How? There are so many exceptions to it. There is nothing said or written in order to offend somebody, but this is generalized statement that men talk in a linear, logical and compartmentalized manner, whereas women use both logic and emotions. Now, there are so many exceptions to it. So many men are so emotional that they literally have tears in their eyes on a very small things that upset them. And there are so many women who are so strong that they do not shed tears even if something big happens. So there are so many exceptions. And once again, this is a generalized statement, not from my side but from the book side. It is being specified in the book, so these are not my personal opinion, that the women use logics and emotions and they are more verbose. The men usually, they at times use less words to speak something. Women, once again, don't feel offended, but they talk more depending upon the topics. Now, this difference may be the cause of communication problem, especially in a formal office, in a formal organization where men and women are working side by side. For example, if men are not in a habit of telling all the details deeply, then they may be held guilty of providing insufficient information. And at times, the other way around is there. Women may be blamed for providing too much detail even if that was not asked for. So this leads to some barriers in communication. Of course, gender bias is very important factor in communication barriers, and due to traditional mindsets, many men still they have that ego. Still they face that kind of superiority complex that they find it difficult to take orders from or to provide information to women. They hesitate talking to women. They feel inferior if their some boss is a woman. So these all things actually exist in our society. Somewhere it is in more proportionate and somewhere it is in less percentage. But we are talking in generalized terms that these are certain gender barriers which exist in society, and it leads to ineffective communication. Barriers in communication. So these are the various barriers that act as an obstacle in effective communication between two people or a group of people. Now in this chapter we have studied about the various types of communication, whether it was verbal communication, non-verbal communication and visual communication. Then we talked about the formal and informal communication. Next we talked about the various networks, communication networks existing in formal atmospheres like organizations and companies. In today's lecture, we talked about all the barriers. Based on all these, now there is a case study which is given in the book that is very interesting, and that will help you in understanding what all you have studied till now in this particular topic or this chapter, communication. Now let us do this case study. What exactly this case study says, that there is a character called Rohit Malhotra. He is a fresh MBA from MIT Business School, and he has received an interview call from a very good company, E&Y, that is Ernst and Young, and he is going there to give an interview for the position of an intern. Right? Now from here our case study starts, that his interview is scheduled on 5th of June at 10 a.m. at the company's Gurgaon office, the name of the place. Rohit is excited about this opportunity and he begins preparing for an interview. Now the day of the interview arrives. It is just a story being told to you that what exactly is happening, right? Now Rohit, who resides in a place called Noida, which is quite far from Gurgaon, where the actual office was, and that is why he starts from his home at 8:30 a.m. The interview is scheduled for 10 a.m. So he is starting 1.5 hours early. But unfortunately, he gets caught in a traffic jam and he gets late for the interview. And he arrives at the office at 10:20 a.m. Now, in our minds, the first negative thing that we have seen is that he is late for the interview. This will create a very bad impression, right? Now, this unfactored delay makes him anxious and nervous. Obviously, anybody would be worried and become nervous. After apologizing to the receptionist and informing her of the reason for being late, Rohit waits for his turn for the interview. An hour later, he gets called in for the interview. Now, it has been one of the longest hours of Rohit's life because he has been waiting desperately to be called. On entering the interview room, he finds himself facing a group of 5 interviewers. Now, there is a conversation between Rohit and his interviewers. This conversation we have to study, and based on this conversation, various questions will be asked from us. So, quite importantly, we have to observe what type of communication is taking place between Rohit and the interviewers, where exactly Rohit went wrong and how. Fine. So we will be just observing the various lackings, the various areas where Rohit performed bad or he went wrong while giving an interview. This is what that will be asked from you after this case study. I'm telling you in advance so that when we are reading it or going through it, you should keep in mind what is the purpose for us to do this case study. Okay. Now this conversation goes like the Rohit person, the main character, he says, "Good morning, sir." And Mr. A, one of the interviewers, he says, "Please be seated. Why did you get late, Mr. Rohit?" This is the normal conversation given. Rohit clenching his hands. Now, this clenching his hands is basically giving an impression of his nervousness, right? What he says is, "I'm sorry, sir, I got caught in an unprecedented traffic jam." Now, Mr. B very casually says, "Of course, traffic snags are an everyday occurrence in the NCR. Anyway, tell us about yourself." Now, if a person as an interviewer is asking, "Tell us about yourself," what exactly was he must be expecting from Rohit? He must be expecting Rohit to tell about his abilities and qualities and why he feels he is suitable for the job. What is the Rohit's reply? Rohit shifting on in his seat. Now this shifting in his seat once again tells us that Rohit is not giving a good impression. He is not much comfortable or confident. And he asks, "What would you like to know about me, sir?" Mr. B says, "Anything you think is important." Now when we as an interviewer relate this statement, "anything you think is important," means what are the various things which make you different from others. And what exactly is the Rohit's reply? "I am a Delhi boy, born and brought up here." Now I don't think this is quite relevant. Still, "I did my schooling from ABS public school." That must have been written in his resume. Why he is specifying it? "And graduation and post graduation from MIT Business School." Again, something which was there in the resume. The interviewers have already received his resume, they have already gone through it, so there was no point telling about these basic details. Main qualities should have been told. That what he's saying right now is, "I am an extrovert who gets along well with other people." This is a good quality. Fine. "I am also a focused and hardworking person who is result oriented." Again, good quality, making it different and telling his abilities. This perfect answer in brackets, this is what he should have said and he said it. Good. Now Mr. C, the third interviewer, asks, "What accomplishments are you proud of?" Now once again, Rohit, hesitation and pause. Lack of confidence, lack of preparation. And he is not actually able to manipulate the situation as per him. Let us see what he says after a pause. "I have always been a good debater and have won many trophies at school and college level. I was appreciated and given a commendation certificate for my project work with company X." Now, important thing is, in school and college level, being a good debater doesn't make much good impression. But yes, he was appreciated with his company and he got a commendation certificate about his some project. But what exactly was the project? He should have specified in detail, which he didn't. Right? Now, Mr. D is asking, "Tell me about a difficult experience in your life and how did you deal with it?" What is the purpose of asking this question? They want to see how much capable and how much adjustable Rohit is. And Rohit is replying that, "Well, sir, I haven't faced many difficult situations so far. However, moving into a hostel after school did require many adjustments. I had to make new friends, cope with bossy seniors, do all my basic work myself, and stop being fussy about food. I learned many life skills and became independent and responsible." Right? This is what he says about his difficult situations. Now Mr. A says, innovation is the key to success. Can you think of 5 ways you can use the styrofoam cup in front of you besides holding liquids? Now Rohit fidgets with his folder and takes time. Once again, a negative thing. He is taking time because he is not outspoken. What he says is, sir, it can be used to hold office clips. It can be used to carry sticks, sticky solid food items, perhaps trap a cockroach, and I can't think of anything else yet. So only 3 ways he could tell. Mr. E says, can you tell us a joke? Now this was something quite unexpected. So Rohit is completely confused and cannot think of a joke he can relate to an interview panel, and that is what he admitted. Sir, I cannot recall a joke I can share with you. So Mr. C says, okay, thank you Rohit, we'll get back to you. Rohit says, thank you sir, and Rohit exits the room and wonders what would be the outcome of the interview. So this is basically what the case study is, that a character Rohit Malhotra goes for an interview for the job of an intern. He is having various interviewers in front of him and he has this conversation with them. Now after this conversation, what exactly the examiner is going to ask us is, do you think Rohit will be selected by the interviewers? Obviously, our answer is a big no. Even though we are not the interviewers, but after going through the case study, we can see, we can relate, we can make out that Rohit, he is not actually the sort of person that should be selected. Now, why you feel so? This is important. Why you said no? This is how we are going to represent our answer. Let us go through it. Rohit is unlikely to be selected for the internship. Now, very importantly, we are not directly saying that no, Rohit will not be selected. This is our personal opinion, agreed. But still, we are using a proper way of saying the same thing so that it should not sound that much direct and rude. Rohit is unlikely to be selected for the internship. Now, the reason for our this conclusion is he has revealed his anxiety and nervousness. How and where? This is what now we have observed and we have to explain. In speaking about himself, he has not understood the interviewer's focus, including unnecessary information that he gave. Next, he has been unable to promote himself by highlighting his strengths. This is the second reason. Third, he should have focused on his winning arguments in debate, and his information about his project work is incomplete. He should have given more details about the project he has done for which he has received a commendation certificate. Next problem that we observed was Rohit also fails to exhibit the ability to think on his feet. He could not relate a joke. He could not come up with effective innovations. So all these things would have created a negative impression of Rohit in front of his interviewers, and that is the basis on which we think that Rohit will be not will is unlikely to be selected for this particular job. Fine. Now the second question which is asked based on this case study is, which non-verbal cues revealed Rohit's state of mind to the interviewers, and what conclusion did they come to? What are the gestures and the body languages Rohit showed? Clenching of hands, shifting in seat, fidgeting with folder, hesitating, pausing, revealing his nervousness and anxiety. These are the non-verbal cue signs which were exhibited and revealed by Rohit during that interview. And that is where communication and non-verbal communication, the body language, the gestures, they become relevant and they become important. Okay. Next question is, Mr. B asked Rohit, tell us something about yourself. When he asked, tell us something about yourself, what did he want to know about Rohit? Simply as discussed, he wished to know about his strengths, his hobbies, his character traits, his abilities, and all those things because of which he deserved this job. Fine, this is what the purpose of the interviewer would have been. Now Rohit says, I am a Delhi boy, born and brought up here. I did my schooling from ABS Public School and graduation and post-graduation from MIT Business School. All these irrelevant details he is providing. Very important question that is asked here is, which principle of good communication has he failed to apply here? Now, he has added irrelevant detail which made the conversation monotonous and uninteresting. All his qualifications are already there in his resume. So Rohit should have been concise and focused, but he was not. Fine. Next question is, while talking about his accomplishments, where did Rohit go wrong? And which characteristic of effective communication is missing in his answer? So when he was talking about his accomplishments, he failed to give complete information about his strengths, how well, how strong he was in debating, and he even skipped the details of the project he worked on. He should have mentioned, he should have focused, he should have emphasized the reason for which he has got that commendation certificate. That would have created an impact, which he failed to do. Now, what barriers do you think were present in the interview? The emotions created communication barriers for Rohit were absent. So this is a case study. And through this case study, I think now you should be able to relate that how the body language, how the gestures, how the presence of mind, how the way we interpret and we express ourselves, that becomes so important that it decides our future, our career, our life. This is the importance of communication. Now there are certain questions given for your practice. We have discussed all. Let us try to brush up in concise the whole chapter through this particular practice exercise. The first question says, state the types of communication channels used by humans and explain each in a couple of sentences. This is basically a theoretical chapter. So these are all the questions which may come to us in our examination, right? So let us try to relate one by one. Now there are several types of communications based on channels used and the purpose of communication. What were those? Verbal, non-verbal and visual. These are the three types based on communication channels, and informal and formal based on purpose and style. So these are the types of communication channels. We have stated the types. Now we have to explain each one of them. So explanation part we have already studied in the very first lecture of this chapter, and in the book you have got the notes for it. You can just take it from there. Right? Next question. What are the main steps in the process of communication. Now, what are the main steps? First of all, we need to have a purpose or a reason for communicating. Then we need to frame the content of the message. We need to decide the medium, which medium to use in order to convey our message, depending upon the person with whom we are communicating and depending upon the information we are trying to give. After deciding the medium and framing the content, now we will transmit the formulated message, and we need to make sure that we are factoring in the noise sources such as the natural forces, human activities, any types, intentional or accidental, which may influence the quality of our communicated message, right? So we have to take note of that. And after that, the message has to be received by the receiver and decoded. So these are the various steps in the process of communication. Clear? Next question is, mention the networks used in communication. Now we have already done in detail all the networks in our second lecture. Vertical networks, circuits, chain, wheel, star, all these networks we have already studied. These are the 5 main networks in communication. The details you can get from there in the book. Which is the most effective for teamwork and why? So while studying, we have already seen that the star communication network, that was considered to be the best. Why? Because all the members of the group, they can communicate with each other and they can exchange information in the star communication network. In this type of network, group communication can be done, and that is essential wherever teamwork is involved. So in star communication network, because all the members can communicate with each other without any kind of hesitation, that is considered to be the best for teamwork. Clear? Let us see the next one. What are the disadvantages of the wheel network? Now the wheel network is highly centralized type of communication network. Why? Because in that network, all the subordinates, they are receiving all the instructions, all the commands from a single authority, from one single superior. So when it comes to a large organization where there are so many people, this is not an acceptable or inappropriate way of, this is not an appropriate way of communication. This we have studied there also, that if the number of employees are more, they require more decision makers. Otherwise, nothing will be done. One more important thing is, if this particular senior, if this decisive single authority is himself incompetent, then in that case, the entire business is going to suffer. Okay. Next. According to you, which are 5 most important characteristics of effective communication? We have done so many. So we can just take up any particular out of them, and whatever you feel good, you can just describe as per your own thought process which of them you found to be the most important one. Now, whether you choose that the effective communication, the important characteristics being concise or clarity, being courteous, focusing, attention, listening, understanding, so many. You can select any one of them. Okay. Next question is, what are barriers in communication? We have just studied the 10 barriers. Physical, organizational structure barriers, language barriers, cultural, emotional, attitude, perception, physiological, gender, technical, so many. In an organization, which barrier according to you impedes communication the most? You can select anyone. You just need to give a valid reason all these barriers are equally important and equally act as a impedance to the communication. Next question says, how do cultural barriers affect communication? Now the first part is quite simple because we have already done it. The second part of the question is important. Explain with examples of your own. Now this we'll discuss. First of all, talking about the first part of the question, cultural differences between people from various countries, regions, tribes and religions, they lead to different interpretations of the same words and symbols. Because of which communication barriers, miscommunication between people, etc. etc. All the details we have already done. Coming to the example. Now this is an example which is being given as per the prescribed syllabus book, but we can give any other example of our choice also. The recent example as per the book given is the Snapchat CEO called India a poor country. Now, this particular statement by the CEO of the Snapchat, it's an app on the mobiles, it offended Indians so much that many people deleted the application from their devices. And if so many people are deleting the application, obviously it must have led to enormous financial losses for the company. Right? So this is basically what cultural barriers are. A person before making any kind of statement needs to relate what exactly are the cultural attitudes of the people, what is the mindset of the people about whom somebody is giving the statement, right? So this is an example which has been specified. You may devise of any other example on your own, trying to convey what exactly and how exactly cultural barriers they act as a hindrance in effective communication. Clear? So this is all about our chapter communication. Very important chapter. You need to learn for theoretical purposes for your exam point also. And my personal opinion is this chapter and the things being specified and taught in this chapter, they have so much of practical relevance also. We need to read and understand, and we need to apply. So many things we can apply in our day-to-day life in order to not only improve ourselves in our communication, but also in order to make sure that whatever we intend to convey to our listeners is being properly delivered to them and analyzed the same way as you intended them to. Okay. So this is all about communication. I hope that you must have understood each and every detail, and it's all theoretical. So you need to learn, you need to relate the types of networks, the types of communications, right? And the various characteristics and the barriers. You may get short notes on any one of them. You may need to learn, and when you are talking about the networks, please make sure that all the figures, diagrammatic representations are also through and thorough. Practice them, because if some question is asked about the networks, star network or the wheel network, you need to explain it also, and you need to draw the diagram related to that also. With the figures you need to explain, that always becomes better. Correct? So ending the lecture here. Just learn all these things. We'll meet you in the next lecture with the next topic. Till then, as always, take care of yourself. Have a great time. And thank you so much for being with me.